afternoon, ladies. Good afternoon. You know what day it is. It's a Friday. It is when you get the opportunity to have lunch with me. Yes, you grab a girlfriend, you grab your lunch, you grab your cup of tea, because I got my cup of tea, and we meet in the Royal Cuts and we get to chat with our special guest today. So, go ahead and do me the honors of sharing, tagging, and letting everybody know that we are on. And guess what? I will see you right here on the RoyalTEA Talk Show in a few minutes.
Get ready for the RoyalTEA Talk Show with host Portia Basham, the podcast designed for women who are looking to be inspired, motivated, and encouraged. Whether you're just starting out in your career or raising a family, the RoyalTEA Talk Show has something for you. This is your opportunity for empowerment and affirmation. Get blessed with amazing stories from women of all walks of life who want to share their truths and victories and impact the lives of women everywhere. This is your cordial invitation to join us as we sip tea, chat, and empower each other on the RoyalTEA Talk Show and podcast with your host, Portia Basham.
Welcome to the RoyalTEA Talk Show, where we teach, empower, and give you the affirmations to build you into who God has called you to be. So you know all what it's about, baby girl. You know what it's about. Listen, it's everything that encompasses us as women. This is where we talk about our family, our friendship, our finances, our faith, and the fulfillment of life. So go ahead and help us to spread the broadcast, tag, invite, and share. And let your ladies know that we're in the Royal Cuts, okay? We're in the Royal Cuts, and it is about to be nice and juicy because we're talking about Leah today. But anyway, for those who have no idea who I am Dr. Portia Basham. I am your brand and business strategist, your best-selling author. And listen, I just added that to my list of what they call it, accolades, your Forbes Business Council speaker, and the minister of the gospel, founder of She Ministries. And for those who have no idea who She Ministries is all about, we are on a mission to help you live your best life. Yes, to help you live your best life. That is where you get the opportunity to learn how to balance life in terms of your friendship and your family and all these things that goes on with us on a day-to-day basis. We come together and we figure out what thus says God for our lives in the process. And we learn to heal in the process. Yes, guess what? We all have things we go through on a day-to-day basis, but we get the opportunity to talk to each other and see how you did it, see how I did it, and we get to heal in the process. So today we get the honor of chatting with my professor. Listen, I call her my professor. You're going to call her Dr. Jodyann Reid, but I call her my professor, okay? She is my professor. She's my girl. Yes, we got the opportunity to chat with her, and she is the founder and the director of I Am Leah Ministries. And I'm super excited to have her on here. We are going to be talking about restoration through self-discovery. This is where we explore the secret hurting place of Leah. We all know the story of Leah. We listen. We somehow in our lifetime have heard the story of Leah from the Bible. Leah was that strong and courageous woman who endured much pain and heartache throughout her life. And I mean, we could look at it from so many different levels, okay? Before the marriage, within the marriage, we could look at Leah in all aspects. But in the Bible, she's known as the first wife of Jacob, the mother of I think about 6 boys. Hey, listen, if that be the case, her womb was blessed. But anyway, so whilst Leah possessed many admirable qualities, she also struggled with the feelings of rejection. We could attest to that. We could figure out where in our lives that fit in. So we are going to be talking with Dr. Jodyann Reid. I'm super excited to have her on here, and I'm going to bring her up on right now, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. Welcome to the Royal Cuts. Listen, ladies, send kisses and hearts to Dr. Jodyann Reid, and she's going to tell us a little about herself and a fun fact. I am a sucker for a fun fact, so I'm looking forward to hearing.
Well, hello, everyone. It's so awesome to be in the Royal Courts with you all and Dr. Portia Basham. As she said, my name is Jodyann Reid. I am the founder and CEO of I Am Leah Ministries Incorporated, and also the dean of the college at South Florida
Well
Bible College
done.
and a minister at of the gospel at
Listen.
Unity New Testament Church of God. So maybe the fun fact is that I'm busy. I'm joking. That's not. The fun fact is I do youth ministry and I actually love working with the youth. I prefer
Oh.
them a little bit to adults. So that's my fun fact.
Don't even listen. I love that fun fact. You know why? My husband has
Hmm.
always said to me, you would be great as a teacher. You should teach. I said, first of
Hmm.
all, I cannot teach elementary school. I cannot teach middle school. You're gonna have to give me older children. I
Right.
can't do because the way I was wired when I was younger,
Hmm.
that wiring might come out. Because you know, as Caribbean people, we have a different way of putting things together. And
Hmm.
I'm like, no, I can't. I'm so sorry. I can't be a
That
teacher.
might get you in some trouble.
Yes. But listen, on a serious note, the things that
Mhm.
we went through when we were younger,
Yes.
we cannot do that right now. Okay.
No.
That mama would have sent you outside and get your own whip and bring it inside so you
Hmm.
can get a whooping.
Yeah. Maybe that led to some of the issues that we have to be healed from right now.
You know, there's certain things people say or do and you still get that tweak, like
Hmm.
expecting to get a
Mm.
shoe sent after you or something. You still
Hmm.
have that fear of, you know, because to be honest, your parents, when we were growing up, our parents put the fear of, don't let me come over there for you.
Hmm. So that might be a trauma response, right? That that twist.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a lot to talk about because we have some things that we might need to heal from or find out if it's something that we need to heal from.
Yes, yes, because sometimes it is don't haven't reached a point where we want to forgive for the things that they've done. Listen, they raised
Mm.
us the best they could. Let's just say that right there. Let's put that on the table. Our parents did the best they could with what they had back
Yes,
then.
they did.
You know, what we know now, they did not know. What
Hmm.
we have we are able to articulate now, they would have never articulated then.
True.
So we just have to give them the little props for the fact that they kept us. We are here to
Hmm.
tell the story and let's just keep
Amen.
moving.
Amen.
So our topic today is restoration for self-discovery. And I kind of we could cut it into that and then exploring the secret hurting place of Leah. So
Mm.
just give us a short snippet of what that topic means to you, or
Right.
or how our audience could what our audience could learn from just that topic.
Yes, so that's actually a very deep topic, right? There's so many things that we could talk about. But whenever I talk to women about self-discovery, about knowing their true identity,
Mm-hmm.
one of the first questions and the most difficult questions I ask is, do you know who you are? Or who are you? You know, we have been on the earth as long as we have. We have so
Mhm.
many different roles.
Yes.
But do we know who we are? And
No.
if you don't know who you are, it's difficult to know what you should do.
Ooh.
And so, of all the things that we should try to discover while we're here on earth, one of the first things is who we are. So, self discovery is so important. It's a precursor to knowing what our purpose is. You have
Yes.
to know what a thing is to know what it was created to do.
Mm,
And
mm.
so a lot of us are working on discovering so many other things, but we are neglecting self discovery. And I think that is actually primary. In addition, uh, just because I wanted to start by being cliche, right? Self discovery starts with God discovery.
Yes.
Why? I know all Christians say the same thing, but it is something that is so important. It's cliche probably because it's important.
Yes.
Because if we believe that there is a God, if we believe that that God is omnipotent,
Mm-hmm.
then he has the power to create the version of you that he wanted to create What does that mean? You are not here on accident.
Mm. Mm.
God, if He is omnipotent, He has the power to create the version of you that He
Yes.
wanted to create. So, whoever you are, that is who God, through His power, wanted to create. So, right? Self discovery starts with God discovery. God,
Mm-hmm.
a part of God discovery is knowing that He is omnipresent. He is omniscient. That means He's all knowing. He's everywhere and He's all knowing. And if that's true, He's omnipotent, He's omnipresent, and He's omniscient. That means He knows exactly what He is doing when
Yes.
He created you. He knows all the things that would happen to you. And he has us here on purpose. And so a part of us even healing and walking into our purpose is finding, well, first of all, agreeing that God made the version of you that He wanted to
Yes.
create. You're not here on accident. Finding out who that is, healing whatever misconceptions we have so that we could walk into that beautiful purpose.
Mm. You said so many good points. Number one, and funny, I was about to ask you to explain to the audience what it means by knowing who you are.
Hmm.
Because out of 100% of the time, we always believe we know who we are and we give our accolades behind it and we say that's who we are.
Yes.
So, and then when you ask somebody, so who are you? They go, oh, I'm the mother and I'm the wife.
Mm.
We give all the roles that we
Wow.
carry, you know,
Hmm.
and then somewhere along the line, way down when everybody is grown and out of the house, and you realize you are there by yourself. You wait a minute, you go, so who am I
Are you
outside of all those roles? So
right?
just give a little more in depth for them to understand when you say to know who you discover who you are.
Awesome. So you pointed out exactly what we do, where we start to identify ourselves with our roles and with our positions and with our accomplishments. The
Yes.
challenge with that is what happens if that thing is taken away?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if that role is no longer necessary? Then does that mean that you cease to exist or you cease to
Exist.
be
Mm.
important
Come
or you
on.
cease to have value? A lot of women place their value in relationship to others. And that's
Yes.
why I started off by saying your identity has to be grounded in God. It has to
Yes.
be grounded in the fact that God is the one that created you.
Yes.
And He is the one that determines who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is the one that made you, and he's the only one, not even you, who knows the purpose for which He has made you. So let's look at a definition of identity. Identity is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. Identity is the quality, the beliefs, the personal traits, the appearance, or the expressions that characterize a person or group. And you saw in that definition, there was nothing to do with what you do. Your
Do.
identity is not grounded in what you do, it's
Come
who
on.
you are.
Mm.
And so the challenge is for us to really know who we are, we have to go back to the fact that God made us for a reason. And it might have something to do with what we're doing, but it is beyond what we're doing. Our identity is founded in God and it is intrinsic. It's something that God put in us that is unique.
Yes.
We are, the image of God apart from what we do. It's
Yes.
important because so many people are depressed because
Yes.
they're disappointed about their roles or they're
Yes.
disappointed about their relationships.
Because they put all the energy right there.
Right. And I have found that when you realize that your identity is grounded in something that doesn't move, one, that your identity, you have value, right? Based on your identity and your relationship to God, apart from what you do, it gives you so much more peace and so much more confidence because you
Yes.
recognize that your value is intrinsic and it's grounded, it's stable. I'm valuable regardless of what I
Yes.
because the person who made me, he made me on purpose, made me for a reason, and I am here to establish that reason. So our identities have so much more to do with who we are and why God
Yes.
put us here than what we do, really. I'm
And,
not a
and
title person, you know.
I like that. And you know what? To add to what you said, it doesn't take away from you what anybody else says about you.
Right?
You are so focused on knowing who you are and whose you are that it
Mm-hmm.
does not even phase you when somebody else tries to mislabel you, like one would
Right,
say.
right.
So, one of our questions we have down to chat about is how has exploring Leah, and I think because your ministry name says I am Leah, I know
Yes,
you have studied Leah in depth. So,
yes.
how has exploring Leah's secret hurting place
Mm-hmm.
helped to restore balance in her life, and how could we now learn from that, from those, those points as well?
Yes, so it's interesting. The Lord led me to name the ministry I Am Leah Ministries. And the question that I'm asked the most is, why would you name your ministry Leah? But that was, what God asked me to do. And the reason He asked me to do is because He wants us to really look at that story again and look at that character again. So we meet Leah in Genesis 28, and we know the story, so I don't have to go through it.
Hmm.
But one of the first things that happens, we're talking about identity, is two women are compared, right? And so Leah is compared to her sister. And the Bible says that her sister was beautiful. And it didn't say Leah was unbeautiful, it just says that she had soft eyes, or, depending on how it's translated, that she has a delicate eye, depending, right? There are different ways to translate that word. And so we see that for Leah, there was an opportunity for her to think that her identity was the one with the delicate eye or the one who was not beautiful. And one of the things that God wanted us to see in Leah's story is Leah's identity was not her eye, because Rachel was considered beautiful. For whatever reason, Leah was not, but Leah was the one that was chosen by God. How do we know that Leah was chosen by God? Because when the entire marriage happened, Leah started to bear children, and God closed Rachel's womb. And in the ancient Near East, that ability to bear, or God opening or closing the womb, is one of the ways that God showed you what His will was. And so God's will was Leah. Sometimes Jacob's will is Rachel, but God's will is Leah. And so, as women, God wants us to know that do not allow what society says about what beauty is to be your identity. You might have a delicate eye, whatever that looks like. I don't know. We all have flaws, but
Yes.
that doesn't stop you from being chosen by God.
Man.
Because the Bible says that man looks on the outward appearance, but God
Yes.
looks on the heart. And so many women are identifying with their flaw, but they're
Mhm.
not identifying with their purpose. They're not
Yes.
identifying with who God says they are. They're
Hmm.
not realizing that God has chosen them because they don't fit into the beauty standards of the day.
Yes.
And so Leah is such a beautiful figure. She has so much to teach women about what it means, as you said earlier, to be strong and to be confident.
So now that you've just preached the word, hallelujah,
Praise God.
you've you've taken it and you've broken it down, because
Mm.
I was questioning how come you came up with the I am Leah myth.
Mm.
Okay, I was
Yes.
saying that to one of my mentors this afternoon. I was putting it the podcast together. I said she named it "I Am Leah." I'm trying to figure out how did she come up with "I Am Leah" out of all the names to come up with the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
Leah carries could address any woman. She could address
Yes.
a woman before she's married,
Yes.
address the woman within the marriage, and address
Mm.
the woman after marriage. So she could really
Amen.
cover every
Yes.
aspect. And
Yes.
like you said, what we could learn from her is, yes, we may look like we are not part of the plan. We may look like we
Mm-hmm.
are not supposed to be what they call that, chosen, but we are
Mm-hmm.
chosen not by man's standards, but by
Mm-hmm.
God's standards.
God. Mm-hmm.
Come on, baby. You how many
Yes.
times have you seen women sit in places and you go, how did she get
Mm-hmm. But
there?
God. But
But
God. Because God doesn't see things the way that we see them.
yes, and we have to
Right?
say thank God for that.
Yes.
Yes, because
And
if
so
we
a
have to
lot of
wait for
women are
man,
grounding their identity in how they look.
yes, yes, because that
Um,
unfortunately how society brings it across to us.
and I'm not saying I really get annoyed whenever I hear people say, "Oh, Leah was not beautiful because Leah had deformity in the
Hmm.
eye or she had some crossed eye." That
Hmm.
verse is very interesting to translate. It could also mean that she had a delicate colored eye, right?
Yes.
Where it could be that her eyes were probably light gray. What is the issue? In her context, that is not seen as beautiful. But
Hmm.
maybe in a different context, if we were to see a woman with light gray eyes, we would say, wow, what a beautiful woman. Sometimes it's just that your audience is not ready for you.
Come
It's not that
on.
your
You
flaws,
need to
it's just,
stop. Stop. It
yeah,
is what it is, baby. It is true. They're just not the right audience for you.
yes,
You know, they just not, they just don't know how
mhm,
to accept you in
right,
all your uniqueness.
right. And so a part of that self-discovery, I was talking about God being omnipotent and omniscient. Recognize that God made you the exact way He wanted you to be. Uh, all your features, whether you think it's beautiful or not, God made you that way on purpose. And so you can't have that self-discovery without coming to some form of peace with how you look.
Yes. And that takes us right into our other question, which is, what strategies have you personally used to help guide your own journey of self recovery, and healing?
Yes. So God has a way of taking you on a journey. I wish I had time to give the whole testimony of this journey of how He walked me through this ministry and the different things that He wants us to reflect on as women as we walk into our beautiful purpose. So, one of the things that He did for me is He showed me an analogy, right? And I'm going to share the analogy with us. Uh, he was talking to me about our subconscious. And so God showed me a bag, the image of a bag. All of us have these big pocketbooks. And he says, imagine me, but, I'm sharing it with you. Imagine your subconscious is this empty bag and you're given that at birth, right? And all the things, all the experiences that you have from when you're conscious, so let's say from your one all the way to the moment that you are today, they go into the bag, right? And most of all, the negative things that were said, the negative things that were done, the negative things that we observe, they take up a lot of room in the bag. And so, what the Lord wanted me to know is we're carrying this around, and sometimes we are identifying with things that are in the bag, but we are not aware. And so, one of the things that He has allowed me to do is to sit with him and to go all the way back as far as I can remember and to look at the things that were said to me,
Oof.
the things that I observed, the things that was done, and to examine them and to see, oh,
Yes.
is this really my true identity? Is this
Hmm.
who God really created me to be? Or was it something that was said to me when I was 1 years old or 2 years old? And I identified with that false narrative, not
Yes.
who God says I am. And so that false narrative, God gave me that word persona. Sometimes we identify with the persona rather than identifying with our true identity, who God
Yes.
created us to be. So God has allowed me to look into that bag and to say, when I say I am not smart or when I say I am ugly, whose voice is that? Where did I get that information? Oh, maybe it was something that was said or I felt rejected
Yes.
when I was younger, and I need to replace that with who God says I am, with knowing that God made me the way I am on
Yes.
purpose, and I'm not ugly, you know.
No, you're gorgeous. Wonderfully made.
Yes,
Wonderfully made. Um, and whilst you're talking, one of the things that dawned on me was, out of 100% of the time, if we do not start to put good affirmations into us, speak good affirmations over our life, start
yes,
to speak positive things into our lives for us to
hmm,
hear it for ourselves,
yes,
our mind will constantly bring up all the things that was said to you that people say, oh, I was only joking, but you
hmm,
held it because it hurt you, it
yes,
secretly cut you, it
yes,
secretly scarred you. You have to replace those with more affirmations, positive affirmations that are more
um,
healing, you know.
yes,
And in me saying all of that, I want you to say to that's our last point for tonight, though. For today, I want you to say, explain to us or give us some examples. What techniques or practices have you found to be more helpful in staying focused on your own healing journey?
so what techniques have helped me to stay focused on my healing
Practices.
journey? One of the techniques is to be able first to sit in silence with God as He takes us through that journey.
Yes.
It's difficult because God is the one, right, who is able to tell us who we are. He's going to show us our identity. And a part of that is He's going to go into that bag and He's going to help us to identify this thing that may have happened that thwarted our view of ourselves. And
Yes.
sometimes what we tend to do is to get out of that moment and not think about it. But I have learned that when God brings something to me, when He shows me something in my past that affected me, I should sit with Him because it's not just that we have to affirm ourselves, but we have to allow God to go into the past to heal the things that
Ooh.
happened and to reframe them for
Hmm.
us. And so, technique number one, be willing to sit with God as He shows you who you are. It's not always going to be pretty, it's not
Yes.
always going to be pleasant. If you have trauma, you're going to have to deal with it, but be willing to sit with God. And then also, technique number two, to really be kind and gracious, accept yourself, flaws and all. When you see what God is bringing to the surface, it might not be pretty, but remember, God made you who you are on purpose, and He understands
Yes.
even the flaws are working together to bring about that beautiful purpose. So
Yes.
be gracious to yourself, affirm yourself, encourage yourself, and you know, let's continue. Let's get to the end and see what the product is going to be. But those two things, sit with God, and once you see yourself, don't run away from that image. James says, sit with the person who you really are and affirm that as God is sanctifying you.
I love that. And I want to say thank you so much for sitting with us today in the Royal Courts and chatting with us. Your voice tone just took us right on down and calm.
Wow.
To just listen in, because listen, we could come into the Royal Courts and be all excited, and then you just went like,
Calm.
so Leah, so
Yes.
this is what we're going to learn from Leah today. So
Yes.
that was really good to learn how to restore ourselves and some of the
Mhm.
techniques to use, and
Yes.
how to be kind to ourselves. Because let me tell you, we could be our biggest critics. Okay,
That's true.
we could be our biggest, no matter how somebody says you've done something good, we'll be like, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
not good, it's not. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, to be kind to ourselves, especially once we start to see the flaws that actually exist within us.
Yes.
So tell the audience, number one, how they could get in contact with you, and tell us what's going on with you in terms of the I Am Leah Ministries.
All right. Well, I would love to get in contact with the ladies who live in the royal courts. Um, I am Leah. You can find us on all socials at I am Leah Ministries. So Facebook, Instagram. You can email us at iamleahministries at gmail.com. Our website information is the same. iamleahministries.org. And we do have a phone number, so you could call us at 561-510-0764. And we do have events and giveaways and supporting courses and different things for women throughout the year. But our upcoming event is our Healing Room Conference. Healing Room Conference is 5 years old. Can you imagine? I Am Leah Ministries is only 1 years old, but the conference predates
Yes.
the ministry. And so the Healing Room Conference is a place where God, He told me that women need a place where they can come together, unmask,
Yes.
just empty themselves and in a supportive environment as He
Yes.
is healing them. And so Healing Room Conference was birthed. So this year, our fifth annual conference will be on October 27th and 28th. I'm so excited. This year, we're focusing on moving out of that process of trauma. And so
Mhm.
the theme is sow in tears and reap in joy.
I love
We
it.
have some excited worship. We're going to have worship by Andromeda Troy. She's a beautiful worship leader, and we are going to hear from Prophetess Monique Henry, a powerful woman of God. On Friday evening, we have counselors who sit with women, and we're going to discuss some women, some groups, some issues in our different
Yes.
groups.
So it's a
One,
sick space. I love that.
yeah. So one of the things I found as we're going through this healing process, this process of growing in identity, that the women that I serve in our communities are not good with getting counseling. And so on Friday evening, we're going to sit with counselors
Yeah.
in a group. It's not group counseling because that wouldn't be appropriate, but just so that women get comfortable
Mm-hmm.
talking to Christian counselors and breaking down that barrier so that women will be more open to getting counsel as
Yes.
they are going through the healing process. So Friday we're going to have breakout groups with counselors, and Saturday we're going to worship the Lord and have a powerful word.
I love it. I am
Yes,
so proud of you. I am
praise
so
God,
proud of you. Because, I remember when it started. So, of course, I am so
right?
proud of
It's
you.
been 5 years.
Oh my gosh. I am
God is
so
faithful.
proud of you. Because
Amen.
listen, we just have to take the step forward and start.
Yes,
That's it. Because once it
yes.
starts, it has a life of its own. But you have to
Amen.
start.
Amen. And be gracious to ourselves if it's not perfect.
Listen to me. Don't even talk like that. Because I would be the one that wants to make sure all the T's are crossed
Hmm.
The eyes are dotted
Yes.
and the underline is straight.
Yes. We have to have another conversation about getting rid of perfectionism.
Yes. Listen, I would be the first one in front to listen to that because I like to see things done. You know when you say in the Bible it says decent in order, I take it
Hmm.
decently and in order to a whole nother level. Okay.
Wow.
So
Yes. So we're going to talk about perfectionism and the spirit of control.
yes, that's it. That's it. But don't let my four-legged dogs hear that, okay? Because I kind of have them on a very straight ruling. So we
Okay.
cannot, yeah, we cannot let
They
them
need
know
they need the structure.
any destruction.
Awesome.
But it was so nice having you. I thank you so much for stopping by in the Royal Courts. It was a pleasure. Listen, ladies, this brings us to the end of our episode. We are going to escort Dr. Reid to the backstage, and I'm going to come back and wrap it up with you. Dr. Reid, thank you so much. I'm going to put you in the backstage, and I'm going to come back and love upon you in a few
Thank
minutes.
you for having me.
So, ladies, this brings us to the end of the episode. But listen. What we have learned throughout today is exploring the secret hurting place of Leah, we can gain valuable insights into the journey of self-discovery. Okay. Leah's examples teaches us the importance of one, acknowledging our pain. If you haven't figured out that something is wrong with you, you can't fix it. Accepting ourselves for who we are. Okay. We are the handmaiden of God, accepting ourselves for who we are and finding joy in the midst of all our hardship, finding peace in the midst of all our hardship. Okay. And by applying those principles, just like Dr. Jodyann says, the technique is being willing to sit with God. The technique is being kind to ourselves when we start to see the flaws that God's going to show us that we got. Okay, so by applying these principles to our lives, we can find that same restoration that Leah experienced, and we could learn so much from Leah. So let us embrace our personal journeys and trust that God will lead us to be healed and to behold all in the same process. So I pray this episode was beneficial to you. And as always, thank you for joining us and listening in to the RoyalTEA Talk Show. We would love to hear from you. If you are listening on any of our podcast platforms like Apple or Pandora or iHeartRadio, and you enjoy the show, please rate and review this program. We would be grateful to hear from you. And be sure to come back next week for another episode right here whilst we talk on everything that encompasses us as women. I do not like to end the broadcast without giving you opportunity to be to how do you call that, gain visibility in the process. So if you have any form of encouraging stories, empowering stories, and you'd like to share it with our audience, I invite you to be a featured guest on the RoyalTEA Talk Show. Go ahead and send us an email. It's info@PortiaBasham.com. And if you would like to be a guest speaker on She Ministries TV show, which is where we air our ministry shows 3 times a week on the Daily Gospel Network, go ahead and send us an email. It's info@PortiaBasham.com. If you have not subscribed to our network, She TV network on YouTube, do so for me, please. This is where you get all the programs that merge your day-to-day living and learn more about who God has called you to be. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the She TV network. And as always, ladies, it's been a pleasure. I am Dr. Portia Basham. I would like to encourage you. You are saved and highly favored, and to do what God has called you to do in this season. Do not let anyone else tell you otherwise. You be blessed, and I will see you right here on the RoyalTEA Talk Show next week, Friday.
Thanks for tuning in to the RoyalTEA Talk Show with your host, Portia Basham, the talk show and podcast designed for women who are looking to be inspired, motivated, and encouraged. We pray today's show was a blessing to you. Remember to tune in next time for your regular dose of encouragement and affirmation, so you can hear from other amazing women from all walks of life who share their stories and advice on everything from personal growth to living their dreams. So until next time, we look forward to seeing you to sip some tea, chat, and empower each other on the RoyalTEA Talk Show.